All right, welcome in on 704 Unfiltered. I'm Nick Sturtevant. All right, so we got another guest today, a special guest, and I just want to, I say this every week, man. The theme of the show is highlighting black voices in our community, folks in our community making an impact. And the guy we have on here today, man, a good dude, man. He's a former NFL wide receiver, now director of Legend Affairs for the Carolina Panthers. I believe I'm saying his hometown correctly. Don't beat me if I get it wrong. Seneca, New York?
West Seneca. We get settled on Buffalo, man.
Buffalo?
Buffalo, New York. Born and raised, man.
I didn't want to say Buffalo and then,
No. True Buffalo. Like, I'm not some people that say from Buffalo and they're from Rochester, they're from Syracuse. I grew up 5 miles outside the city, which is really a quick drive down the street, so I can be right there in a matter of 5-10 minutes, man. So yeah.
True Buffalo. All right, I got some Buffalo questions for you.
Man, here we go.
He's a straight baller.
I've never jumped through a table if that's what you're gonna ask.
No, I'm not gonna ask you that. I got some other Buffalo questions. But dude is a straight baller, man. University of Maine.
That's right.
More importantly, man, he is opening up about a rare disease that abruptly ended his football career, called ISM. And he's on a mission. You're on a mission to spread awareness about it. But we'll start from the beginning before we get to that. From Buffalo, man. Man, you got some heavy hitters from Buffalo. Rick James.
Rick James is from Buffalo. My pops used to play music with him, play gigs with him back in the day. Yeah,
okay.
Guitarist. That's right.
Griselda. Everybody. Conway, Benny.
All the guys.
West Side,
yeah, you're digging in.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah.
Question. Those cats, yeah, man. Yeah, we, they're keeping Buffalo on the map, I should say.
What earliest memories growing up in Buffalo?
Earliest memories in Buffalo. Growing up a Miami Dolphins fan in Buffalo.
Whoa, hold on. You were a Miami Dolphins fan?
Always went against the grain, man. Miami Dolphins fan. I was a big Dan Marino fan, man. Dan Marino is my guy through and through, and nobody's going to tell me otherwise. So I wore that 13 jersey with pride, no doubt.
Still, I mean, I know you with the Panthers. Still to this day, do you root for the Dolphins? Or
I mean, quietly. You want to see it do good. I would say not as adamantly.
Yeah.
As a kid, it's different, right? You got your team, you follow them, you collect the cards. But I would say, it's just a team that's still got a little special place in my heart. I know Dan personally now. I've got to share a few moments and stories with him. But man, I'm a fan of whoever signed the checks, man. So go keep pounding, baby. We love it down here.
Hey, that's a great.
Love it down here.
I love that answer. Who were your early influences growing up?
Early influences, man. I tell you what, I've been very fortunate. For me, I never took for granted growing up 12 minutes from, then the Rich Stadium, and where the Buffalo Bills play, and so we grew up seeing Hall of Famers like Thurman Thomas and Andre Reed and the Darryl Tallies of the world and the Bruce Smiths of the world. You could bump into them in the grocery stores, right? You can do certain things. And so there's only 32 teams in the country, right? So to have that proximity as a kid, and everybody shuts down on Sundays, and as soon as you leave church, that's what you're going to do is watch the game. And so, I remember those days. I remember the playoff parties my mother would host, but I was very fortunate, in my life. Some people came into my life who happened to be former pros and pulled me up under the wing and trained me and coached me and fathered me in many ways, man, that set me on the path that I wouldn't be sitting here with you right now if they did not come into my space, man.
By the way, this is Jeremy Kelley. We kind of jump right into conversation, but Jeremy Kelley here on the show, 704 Unfiltered. Hey, look, this is what happens on the show. When did you get the football bug, man? Was it Little League, and when did you know?
This story is funny. So it was Little League. I was probably 6-7 years old. Had a friend of mine live down the street. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What does a kid do? You get out of school, you go outside, play with your friends. At least back then you did. We didn't have the screens. We didn't have everything, right? It was if you were in the house, you were getting cussed out. Right? So I had a buddy of mine who always had to leave to go to practice, and he was like my one friend on the street. And one day I just came home to my mother and was like, "Can I play football?" And she said yes. Scraped up some change, took me to go play the following year, got me some pads. I'll never forget the first time she put my pads on. They were definitely on backwards, but true in mom fashion, right? And I till this day, I can remember standing in the living room when she was doing that for me, and I remember that day I put those pads on. I decided I want to be a professional athlete, and I will never forget it. Why? I don't know. You know, I'm a 6, 7-year-old kid. I knew that was what I wanted to do, and that was it for me.
Did it click?
That was it for me.
Like on the field, did it click?
I was always, you know, I will say this. I was never. I was never the star player. I always felt like there was guys on the team better than me, but I was always a key player.
Yeah.
Right. I was always a sturdy kid. You know, before I stretched out, I was always a little on a more solid, thicker side. You know, and I wasn't scared of contact. I had an older brother that was 5 years older than me, so I grew up with combat. Like it was what it was every day in the house.
Older brother's body slamming.
Yeah, man, and he had a temper, so it was on. It was just what it was, right? I broke my foot by age 4, wrestling, playing football in the house. So, you know, contact to me kind of came natural, and that really kicked things off for me, man. I was very fortunate. I played in a great Little Loop league, West Seneca Little Loop. Shout out to them. I still try to support the program every summer when I go back from my football camp, and have kids now that I get to host and try to build that up and give them the exposure that I would have wanted as a kid, man. So that's kind of how I got the bug. That was how it all started, man. I had a friend who always had practice, and I asked if I could play.
Oh man!
Shout out to Mom.
When did you know? Shout out to Mom, man. When did you know? Hey man, I could probably do this at the next level as in college.
Yeah. So, you know, and then we got some time here, right? So I guess I could dig.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You know, you go through Little League ball, you just play sport because you love it, right? You fall in love with it, and you appreciate it for what it is, man. I had great coaches growing up, great men who really made me love the game, really made me enjoy the game, but also instilled the values that it took to work, right? Running laps and leg lifts and all the stuff that people don't want to talk about but when you embrace those things early on and they teach you why and how, it sets you up for really having an appreciation down the line. And so, you know, played all the sports growing up. I wrestled growing up. I played basketball. You know, I did other things, but football was always my first love. And so it really wasn't until, you know, I was always a bigger kid. Then everybody kind of caught me. Yeah. Middle school, then you get to high school. And then it was like on and pop in my sophomore year. I grew 3 inches within a basketball season. Like when football ended in October, November, I moved up, played some varsity basketball, and by the end of that basketball season in March, I went from 6'1" to 6'4". And so it was wild, nothing fit.
You had the Scottie Pippen.
And that was it, man, just like that. And so I went from thinking that, you know, I was going to be the next Mike Vick. I was a left-handed quarterback, but I was tripping over blades of grass, man. I had grown so much, so fast. Thankfully, somebody grabbed me in my life and was like, JK, I'm going to teach you how to be a wide receiver. And that was it for me. And from there, I'll never forget the day on that practice field. A gentleman by the name of Damaris Johnson played in the league 3 years with the Miami Dolphins, did a stint with the Buffalo Bills, and then set up his home in Buffalo as a pastor. But he was my best friend's dad, and he was the one who really followed me. He was my pastor. He was my trainer. Anybody who came out of Buffalo, New York, trained up under Damaris. All the Gronkowski brothers, Robbie, you know, Mike Williams, wide receiver from Tampa Bay. The list goes on.
Oh wow, yeah.
And so I was thankful to have somebody like that in my life to say, hey, man, you got what it takes to play at the next level. And so that was it for me, and that was the moment that I was like, when you have somebody speak that life into you, as a young, impressionable kid, man, I was trying to just soak everything I could up, you know, and that was it, man. So that was it for me.
Man, we got Jeremy Kelley here on 704 Unfiltered. Getting into early life, growing up in Buffalo, getting the football bug. We're going to dig more into his story and the awareness he is spreading around ISM. Let's head to break. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Welcome back here on 704 Unfiltered. I'm Nick Sturtevant, Jeremy Kelley here. Man, we were talking about just developing that skill, those mentors, those men around you growing up. You get to the University of Maine. Did you think the NFL was like in the line of possibility at all?
I did. I mean, truly, I say that. My goal and my vision was always dead set on playing in the National Football League.
Yeah.
Right. Like I said, I had somebody that spoke that into me. And as I worked, as I developed, as I grew, especially during that era, right? I was 6'4", 6'5", learning to be a wide receiver. You know, the Randy Mosses of the world, those guys were all coming into, like, everybody wanted a big wide. So for me, I was thinking, like, you know, I was an all-state DN. I played DN, and I just worked my skill set to become a receiver. And so I'm thinking, well, if I go play DN, I'll be a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
But if I'm a wideout, I'm a rare commodity.
Yeah.
And so I leaned into that, right? And I believed it. You know, my college journey and my statistics would not tell you that.
Yeah.
Right. I had a very unique college experience at the University of Maine. I loved it. We call it the land of the misfits, right? It's cold, it's dark up there, right? It's all the kids that didn't get that slipped through the cracks in the ACC or the Big East and didn't go to UConn or didn't go to Boston College, but you end up at the University of Maine and you playing good football, right? Villanova, UMass, James Madison, Delaware, like every week
it's really solid
top
football.
10, you know, competitors in the league, which was the A10 at the time, eventually became the CAA, the Colonial Athletic Conference. And so every week you're going against top tier. But the thing for me that brought me to UMaine was the culture. We had, at that time, I think we had the most guys playing in the league out of any AA program that were on active rosters. And so, you know, coach said that to me. I'm like, shoot, this is where my offers are. I'm going to the spot that puts them out, right? And so, but, you know, you run into challenges. You run into adversities. You know, I'm still learning. As I mentioned, I was growing, coming into my body, dealing with aches and pains and things. And, you know, another level demands another level.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I was always a worker. I understood what it took to prepare and to go about things. But to get it all on the same page and to have self-belief and to overcome doubt and those challenges of injuries or what have you, you know, it fortified me. It fortified me. It set me up. So to answer your question in short, I did always believe it. You know, you definitely run into a rough patch, you know, at some time. I had 8 catches for 64 yards and 1 touchdown in college. I left as a defensive end. And somehow I signed more contracts in the NFL than I had touchdowns, right?
Wow.
So to me, that's where I say when you asked the question, did I believe? I absolutely did.
Yeah.
I absolutely did.
You make it to the NFL, for your first team.
So my first year out was 2011.
Okay.
Which was ironically enough. So I ended up redshirting. I really was graduated 2010, redshirt year, 2011. And it was really interesting because that was the year of the NFL lockout.
Yeah, I remember that. Wow. Yeah.
Go through pro days, blow it out of the water. I had 16 teams calling me before draft day as a possible, you know, preferred free agent, maybe late round pick. Again, a guy that's got 8 catches, I'm not supposed to be getting calls.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Right. And so I was grateful to even just be in that position and to have that hope. Lockout hits, all activity stops. So now you have front offices who are now looking for guys who have production and or are free agents who have experience. So things kind of fizzled. All that momentum that I had building was stale. Thankfully, I had done a workout for a CFL team, and I started my career. They ended up calling back that June of 2011. JK, you still available? Man, I about picked my bags and ran up there to Canada. So my first professional contract was with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, which was fortunate for me because it's only 50 minutes up the road from Buffalo.
Yeah.
You know, a stone's throw. So it was great. My family could come see me play, man. I enjoyed it. It was a phenomenal opportunity. But fast forward, had an opportunity in arena ball after that, and then got my contract with the Indianapolis Colts in 2013. So took the road less traveled, but it got me right where I needed to be right on time.
You got to the NFL, and I want to get into ISM. For those who don't know, and I'm saying the abbreviation ISM because I don't want to mess up the actual name.
Right. That's right.
Break down what that is, and when did you start experiencing symptoms? Because
so this is a perfect segue, actually. So, you know, ISM is indolent systemic mastocytosis, right? It's a mouthful. I didn't know what it was. You know, you go from being this prime, premier, well-in-shape athlete, and now all of a sudden you're getting acronyms like that thrown around in your face. So Ironically enough, as I say, it's a perfect segue. In 2013, after my workout with the Indianapolis Colts, I experienced these symptoms immediately after. And I had no idea. I had thought I just took too much pre-workout. I thought I needed to just get some rest, that it was just the adrenaline of my first NFL workout, which they put me in the ground, man. I ran so many routes, and I was by myself. So I think they had me run probably 2 miles that day of just routes.
At full speed at that,
No doubt. But I remember experiencing these symptoms thereafter, but didn't really know what it was, and it subsided. It was gone. Fast forward to around 2014, 2015. This time I just signed with the Denver Broncos, and I was transitioning to kind of a flex tight end role. So I was a little bit heavier, a little bit bigger, and I started to have some symptoms showing up during my training. And it got to the point where I was now having to go to the ER. And so, as I was saying, you go from never having any type of issues like that ever to now all of a sudden, you're doing your two-a-days, and then later in the evening, my body was shut completely down.
Wow.
And the best I could describe it to people is if you've ever seen a marathon runner coming down that final stretch, and they're losing their legs, and they can't see, and they're stumbling, and they're crawling, that's what would happen to me. I would lose my vision, nausea, tingling, cramps, anything and everything. You can imagine the kind of, uncomfortableness, the fear that goes through your body. When you, again, I've never been to ER before, at least not in my adult life. And so these things start to happen. I'd come into the ER, heart rate's up, doctors are admitting me right now. Sometimes it was ICU because they couldn't get my heart rate to come down. Man, they give me a bag of saline, they come back in, it was like a completely different person, like nothing ever happened.
What? Wow.
So causes a lot of questions. This goes on for a number of years to the point where I ended up signing one last contract in 2016 back in Canada, and I just believed my body to be healed. And I was hoping and praying for that to just respond, and man, happens again, and I realized, I probably need to go see some help. Now, in the midst of all that, I should say, it cost me a couple contracts. I had an incident with the Minnesota Vikings, and I had an incident that cost me a contract with the Denver Broncos where, I missed practice because I was in my hotel, started going through an episode, didn't know who to call. Next thing you know, you're calling the ambulance, what have you. They get you on the field, they get you on tape. That's it. We're going to get somebody in here that's healthy, right? Nature of the business, nature of the beast. So, very, very uneasy during those times. Especially, I think the worst thing was not having any answers. And so when you talk about an indolent mastocytosis, what is that? It's really an overproduction of mast cells. So what that is, my body essentially was allergic to working out. The change of internal environment that was taking place was causing an overproduction of mast cells that was causing this reaction.
Yeah.
And my body was trying to protect itself.
When did you get the official diagnosis?
So, fast forward, as I lost a couple contracts and I knew I had to walk away from ball, thankfully, you go through life, you transition. I moved to San Francisco. I started a career in tech. I'm completely outside of football. I can't even turn NFL on, right? I'm just, you're dealing with the separation. You're dealing with the bitterness. You're dealing with the things that, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. But thankfully, I had decided to move back home. And again, I was like, man, I got to train. I can't let this thing defeat me. Body response, get in shape. But I received a phone call from the Buffalo Bills. And someone said, JK, we want you to come interview for this job. I said, I didn't apply for anything. They said, we know, but you're the man for the job.
Yeah.
And so as I moved back to Buffalo, within 4 months, man, I had a job on the line to work in the front office, and I was very grateful for that, man. It was just perfect timing, and that's where I think God, had this not all happened, it may not have aligned with my career and where I'm at today, just in the fact that I ended up there at the right time. And so, yeah, man, you can have all the questions in the world that you want, but the special part to that story is a month after I got that job, I was actually, Rob Gronkowski, Gronk was back in town. We were hanging out a little bit on Cinco de Mayo. You know, we might have been hanging out, having a couple beverages.
Doing what Gronk does.
And I get a phone call. And it was a wide receiver coach for the Bills who had just got there, who was my college receiver coach.
Wow.
And he said, JK, I'm trying to get you in here for a workout right now, but you're under your retired contract from Canada. You got to fix it. I said, Coach, you know they just offered me a job in the front office, right? He said, I had no idea. Congratulations, you're going to take that job. I'm in the alley of a bar taking this call, and this sense of peace came over me, and I was done. I was good, man. I did not want to play ball anymore. I knew like I was about to enter a next chapter of life. And so very grateful for timing and all those things. But, you know, long-winded again. I'm trying to get to
No, you're good. Yeah. Nah.
So this is 2017. You know, fast forward, I still did not get answers till about 2020, 2021.
That long.
So there was about 3-4 years where I went to every doctor I could to try to get answers about ISM, nephrologist, neurologist, I mean, you name it. I went through everything I could, and no one could pinpoint it. Mm-hmm. And so it wasn't until I went to a dermatologist, I started to notice some freckles on my body, and never been to a dermatologist before.
Yeah.
Went to a dermatologist, does a biopsy. 2 weeks later, calls me back in and said, hey, good news, bad news. Good news is we know what this is, right? Explains it to me. Indolent mastocytosis, sometimes it presents in the skin, not life-threatening, you're good. Bad news is we don't know if it's leukemia. So I'm going to send you to a specialist over at the Cancer Institute. So I listened in, continues to proceed with the symptoms, continues to proceed with the effects on the body. I said, whoa, doc. Could this be related to the issues that I was facing while I was playing ball? I explained to him. He said, absolutely. And in that moment, this sounds funny, but I was ecstatic to hear leukemia because I had an answer. I felt I had an answer. I was ready. I said,
as scary as that diagnosis.
Tomorrow. I was like, I will start treatment tomorrow. Wow. It doesn't matter. Luckily, it was not leukemia, but the fact that I had something to hold on to is what gave me hope. And what gave me, you know, a sense of like progress and direction towards the answers I didn't have. So I was very grateful. Shout out to Dr. Nazareth up in Buffalo, New York, Western New York Dermatology. We went through the process. It led me to Dr. Elizabeth Griffiths and Roswell Cancer Institute, who took phenomenal care of me, got me answers, and it was on my way to managing this journey and, you know, get me back to myself again.
Man, dude, wow. Yeah. Let's take a quick break. We have more with Jeremy Kelley on the other side of the break. 704 Unfiltered. Welcome back here at 704 Unfiltered. I'm with Jeremy Kelley, man. Amazing story. Journey to the NFL, getting that break. You know, coming to grips with, okay, my NFL career is over, but God has pivoted me to a different direction, and finally getting answers as far as like your health journey, man. You get that peace. Like I could see it as you were telling that story, just kind of like wash over you, like, man, you relived that.
That's right. It was again when you're sitting in a doctor's office and you're hoping to get, again, I never had anything wrong to that degree outside of, you know, infancy.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's all foreign. But I had turned over every stone I could to try to find answers to this, man. I didn't want my career to be over. I wanted to live a normal life. It was 3 years from the time I got done playing ball where I didn't go for a jog. I didn't play basketball. I didn't do anything physical because I was scared of having an episode where I felt like I was going to die.
How did you stay in shape? Or did you stay in shape?
Man, I was just soft body walking around looking lean and gangly, man. I truly, I mean, 3 years. Because the effects were that severe. I didn't want to go through it. And so, and I didn't have answers. You know, again, luckily, I was directed to Roswell Cancer Institute, where a brilliant doctor took me in, and I was a little thrown off at first, as she said to me, "Okay, hey, you know, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go work out, but I need you to go to a local Walgreens. I need you to pick up 2 things. I need you to pick up some Zyrtec and some Pepsi. Okay. I go and do it, do a little workout, nothing happens. Okay, great. JK, I want you to take it a little bit further, push it a little bit more, take 2 this time. Work out, man, nothing happens. All right, I want you to go all out, take those 2 pills in the morning and at night. Got it. Nothing happens. I said, you mean to tell me, Doc, I lost a $1.3 million contract I could have went to Rite Aid? I was baffled. But what that was antihistamines. And my body produces mast cells. These antihistamines block those cell chambers from taking over my body. So to this day, I take allergy medication over the counter.
Are you serious?
And I live a normal life. So to that, for anybody that's out there that's experiencing these symptoms, jokes aside, this is a really unique disease, and I'm glad to talk about it today because Rare Disease Day is actually tomorrow, I believe.
Okay.
Tomorrow or Saturday? Excuse me. Friday. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Rare Disease Day is Friday, and there's only roughly, to my knowledge, I think about 30,000 people who are living with ISM, again, indolent mastocytosis, and many of them are going undiagnosed. And it takes, on average, 4 to 5 years for them to receive diagnosis because symptoms are so variable. They just vary from to everybody.
So they can
person
go
to
from,
person, and it just gets missed.
It can just kind of be just a random of what you just said.
Exactly.
Okay, wow.
It can be a random variety of things, right? Pending, and not everybody's probably, operating at the level of a professional athlete when they train and things like that. But it could be temperature triggers. It can be all types of things that that lead you to be undiagnosed. And so, to raise awareness, look into it, see if if the symptoms align. I would say don't get scared, right? Because there are again, indolent means not life threatening.
Yeah.
Right. And so it can be present in many different ways in the skin and other things, but I would say that there's a fighting chance, and you can live a normal life. And as somebody who's been fortunate enough to experience that, man, I'm grateful. Yeah.
Man, dude, incredible story. You're constantly raising awareness. Real quick, where can folks find you? I know you're always doing things.
We stay busy. It kind of comes with the job, man, right? But no, I mean, I'm on LinkedIn. I can be found on LinkedIn if anybody has questions. I'm certainly not a medical professional.
Yeah.
But I have a human anatomy background enough to where I've done the research.
Yeah.
And I've looked into this enough where I don't know how much advice I could provide, but I would say encourage you, if you feel something, if you know something's off, if these symptoms align with what you've experienced, definitely go see a medical provider, a medical professional, and look into it for sure, man.
I gotta say this.
Yeah.
Go to the doctor, get checked, get your. I mean, I know these are symptoms, and you did that, but I just want to remind people to do that, especially black men.
No question.
Go to the doctor,
and that's very real, right? As I mentioned, I found out that there was something really wrong 2015, 2016. I didn't really take the time to go to the doctors until 2020. Throughout the years, I had made an appointment here or told somebody about it there, but I was just in a space where, man, I was like, I guess I could walk around every day, I just can't work out. And it wasn't until I kind of finally got fed up, COVID hit, I had some time on my hands. I wasn't in the office every day. I couldn't make excuses. And then I finally, started turning over them stones, man, and made it a point and was really intentional about it to go and get answers. So, you're not alone.
Yeah.
Yes, is it rare? For sure. But there are people out there that study this. There are people out there that are specialists. There's people out there with answers. So you owe it to yourself, man, to be able to live the life that you want. So go find that.
Man, Jeremy Kelley, brother, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for opening up and being vulnerable, because this is a lot to sort of rehash. And look, it's just good awareness for folks who are maybe experiencing symptoms. It may not be ISM. It could be anything, right? Just encouraging them just to kind of do the research and go get help, man.
Yeah.
And be okay with getting the help as well.
And there's some great groups out there that are doing some really good things to research. Blueprint Medical, and I think it's Blueprint Medical. You can look them up. They are ISM supporters. They have foundations. They have, there's engagement groups where folks are able to kind of conjugate and share their stories. Again, I think you find community in somebody that's gone through what you've gone through. So I would encourage folks to do that, do some research.
All right, man. That's Jeremy Kelley. It's 704 Unfiltered. Thank you guys for watching, tuning in. We do this each week here on WCNC Plus. See you next week.